I can also sit here.
Good morning. So I don't do often many lives, so this is funny to have a live and no audience. I don't know who's watching, who's here. My name is Ruthi Forer. I'm a yoga and trauma therapist working with several modalities, working with the body and studying to become a sex therapist, doing my internship or stage next year. So I'd like to start with just a little bit of embodiment, getting into our bodies. So whoever's here, whether you're in bed or work or wherever you are, I'm going to invite you to take a moment to settle in. Just be like a minute or two. So just settling into wherever you are comfortably. So if that's lying down, if it's sitting, standing, whatever works with you, for you. Just begin to feel your body. So if you're drinking coffee, maybe put the coffee down, or if you're in the middle of doing something, just pause. And just getting into your body, you can bring a hand to your heart, hand to your belly, arms to your sides. Just begin to drop in, noticing your breath. Hey, Georgia. Noticing your sensations. If you're sitting, notice your sit bones in the mat or in the ground, wherever you might be sitting, in the chair. If you're standing and also sitting, noticing the bottoms of your feet and the contact with the floor. If you're laying down, noticing the feel of your body on the couch or the bed. Noticing what your contact is with your different body parts and what you're sitting or laying on. And staying with the breath, noticing what happens with the breath as you observe it. And then noticing where you can find a part of the body that maybe feels tense or uncomfortable, or even where you have pain. And not just noticing, if you'd like, you can bring a hand to it. So if you have tension in your shoulder or your back, you can bring a hand to it and just have it there, sitting there, present. You don't have to do anything right now or solve anything. And see if as you bring your attention to a part of the body that is painful or feels tense, and as you breathe with it, see if it changes at all. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We're not looking to solve anything. There's no right or wrong. And then I invite you to bring your attention to a place in the body that feels good or neutral. So it can just be, okay, I'm not feeling anything there, I'm just neutral feeling. I could bring a hand there or bring my attention there. Or a part of the body that actually feels really yummy, really good. And just bringing your attention there. And again, noticing what happens with the breath as you bring your attention to that area. Just feeling. Maybe the breath speeds up. Maybe it slows down. Maybe as soon as you bring your attention and notice your breath, you recognize that you're holding. And all of a sudden you take a deeper breath. Just noticing. There's no right or wrong way to do this. There's no good or bad. There's no emotion or sensation that's good or bad. Just noticing, feeling. And then last invitation here, before I tell you a little bit about trauma, is as you're sitting still, if you're still, if you're not still. If you want to close your eyes, you can. You can keep your eyes open. See if you can feel into some spontaneous movement. So noticing if there's a part of the body that wants to move. And it might be a big movement, like you just want to stretch, open your arms or reach overhead, do a little side bend or whatever. If you're standing, maybe you want to like move or shake. Or maybe there's something really much more subtle as you're sitting or standing or lying down that feels like it wants to move from the inside. So it might be a little, like little jerky movement, or maybe even just a finger or a hand. Maybe your hands want to do something funny, or you want to shake your head, or whatever it is fine. Just see if you can come from a point of allowing the movement to happen rather than making it happen. So not intentionally creating it, but just allowing whatever is there to happen. So for some people, this experience, this little mini exploration, you can continue with it while I'm talking, or come to the screen and listen more attentively. It's up to you. But for some people, this can be a really scary experience, dropping into the body, feeling your sensations. And why that happens is because we're often working with trauma. And when I say trauma, I mean anything that happens that's too much, too fast, too soon. So it can be from a really big dramatic event, such as a divorce, a death, rape, war, a bomb, being in a very drastic situation. And or it can also be just being a little kid falling off your bike and no one's around to rescue you. Or being in school and day after day you're being bullied. Or being an adult and going to work and your boss is a bully. Any event that's just too much, too fast, too soon, where you don't have the power or the ability to take control and choose what happens to you. It essentially takes away your choice. And what it does is it disconnects you from your body in the moment that you're being traumatized, whether it's falling off your bike or getting yelled at, or in a chronically abusive relationship, or having been raped, or living in a war zone. You're constantly bracing, holding, freezing. And it keeps you in the past. It's keeping you disconnected from your body. So what happens in trauma is it separates us from ourselves. And it's not necessarily what happens to us. It's basically separating our conscious mind from our physical body. So we're often experiencing trauma in a physical way. And whatever the event is, we're often going through a range of reactions. Oftentimes it's holding the breath, bracing the body, tensing. I'm sure if I asked you guys, and you can't respond, but if I asked whoever's watching or whoever sees this video where you feel tension, or if a police is coming behind you with sirens, or if your kid runs into the street, or if someone yells at you, where do you feel it in your body? Do you notice that your shoulders go up? Do you notice all of a sudden you feel tension in your back? Your belly clenches, you have to poop, like something happens in a tense, holding way. And so what we want to do is reconnect to the sensations, reconnect to feeling, be more in touch so that we can release. And one of the ways we do this, and one of the ways I work with this, is through tremoring. So I work with yoga, and I also work with a modality called TRE, tension releasing exercises, where we basically are mimicking animals in the wild. And if any of you have dogs or cats or have seen animals in the wild, you'll see how they are often shaking to release tension. They're often shaking. And so we have this instinctual mechanism as well, but we've been conditioned from society, from home, and also medically it's been pathologized that if you're shaking, if there's some weird, sporadic, erratic movement, hold it down, control yourself, keep yourself together, don't look weird, don't be weird, stop doing that, stop moving like that. And so we've been taught as a culture from home and culturally to hold and repress. And so we're not used to just freely moving our bodies and just allowing things to happen. right? Even as they do that, maybe there's some judgment coming up in you, like, what is she doing? That's so weird. It's just allowing spontaneous movement. And so what happens is when we hold and brace, when we're repressing and you know, not allowing our bodies to just release and do what it wants, when the police stops us, when someone yells at us, and also social constructs, sometimes we cannot. What happens is there's an immobilization, there's a freezing, there's a holding. And so there's this trapped energy inside our bodies that gets trapped and has nowhere to go. And so what we say in trauma is we say, get out of immobility by restoring mobility. And so one of the ways, for example, and I'll give you some examples at the end, we have 5 more minutes, but one of the ways is, let's say you're feeling frozen or shut down or collapsed and like, I don't know what to do. And I know this is easier said than done, but is to train yourself to get up and even just like do this, put on some music and dance, punch a pillow, you know, whatever you can, punch a wall, or hopefully don't punch a wall, that might hurt, but like if you could do some contra with a friend, you know, where you're offering resistance to the hands, do some movements so that the body begins to move, bringing back mobility. Now, bringing it to sexuality, and I could go on for hours about this, there's so much to say about it, but just to go for a moment into sexuality to make sure we don't miss out on this, is that with intimacy and sexuality, very often these triggers, these trapped pockets of energy can be triggered by smell, a comment, a movement, something that reminds us of our nervous system, yeah? So when I say reminds us, I mean not consciously. Something gets reminded in our organism of something dangerous or uncomfortable that once was. And so then we react in a disproportionate way. So let's say not even in sexuality or in the supermarket or in a bureaucracy office where someone says something maybe not so nice, but you react in a really disproportionate way. You flip out, and then later you're like, whoa, that was really uncalled for. That was really disproportionate to what happened. And very oftentimes that's because there's this trapped energy in the body that wasn't allowed to come out. And so then when it is slightly poked or triggered by a similar sensation or experience, there's an explosion, because it's all this charged energy that's trapped inside that has to come out. So one of the questions I want to ask you is, where in your life, if you can look at where in your life you are frozen, and I don't mean just frozen collapse, but where in your life might you be bracing? And you might be going about your life, going to work every day, doing what you need to do, but where in your life are you holding? Where in your life are you not speaking up? Where in your life are you not able to say what you need, whether that's at work or with your partner in bed or with your one-night stand in bed? Where are you not able to speak up and say, hey, I don't like this, or I don't want to have penetration, or actually I'd rather you touch me like this, or I want to just cuddle right now, or this is what I really like, this is what feels good. Where are you able to actually voice your needs and speak up and share what is good for you, what works for you? So a few tips that we have. One more thing I want to say is that very often we can only shake, we can only release when we feel safe. And so if we're not with a safe partner, we often don't feel safe to release. And so very often we have to find safety within ourselves. And this is what I started off with, is slowing down, taking a breath, feeling your body, noticing sensations. So even if I'm with someone who's maybe not so nice or triggering me, how can I just come back to myself and feel safe enough to either be with me and decide what's good for me on my own, and or to be able to express to the person I'm with and say, hey, that doesn't feel good. Can we try something else? Or can we slow down? Or can we pause? Let me take a break, walk outside, take care of yourself. And so we want to get into more authenticity, more expression, more creativity, because as soon as we can come back to ourselves and feel safe, and then we're back in our center and feeling ourselves, then we could be more proactive, more assertive, more creative, more alive, enjoying life more, because we're not being held up by all our defenses and all our, I have to protect myself and hold and hold and hold and hold, and I could just be more like fluid and let go. So just to end off, 15 minutes is so quick, and I could talk about this for literally hours. So a couple tips just to leave you with something practical is, A, reorient, come back to the present. So if you're in an unsafe environment or at work or with a partner where you're not feeling good or you're feeling frozen, try to come back. And this might sound really silly, but just notice where you are. Okay, I'm in a room. I notice there's a bed and there's lights and there's a plant and whatever. And also to your body. Touch your body. Feel, okay, I feel my heart. I feel my arms. I feel my skin. Maybe even pinch, caress. Feel yourself. And resource. So resource is feeling, coming back to a good memory, coming back to a good experience, recalling a good moment. And so coming back to that place. So in this, we can come back to that original exercise where you felt your feet on the ground or you felt your sit bones. And slowing down, just slowing down, pausing, keep slowing down. So again, just to end off with reorient, resource, slow down, pause, re-engage your body, touch, you can slap, you can pat, you can pinch, just feel yourself. Laughter, if you can, really helps. Vocal toning, sound, letting out sound, humming. And lastly, if you connect to spirituality or God, you can also pray. However that works for you, whether it's in singing or movement or going to places of worship and praying. So I hope I was able to give you some practical and good information in this short 15 minutes. And if you'd like to reach me, Ruthi Forer, I'm teaching yoga therapy and trauma releasing exercises to come back to your body, to come back to sensation, to come back to aliveness. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for being here with me. Have a good day.